All right, so in the spirit of just going for stuff, I'm attempting a live stream. And I see it. I'm looking here on YouTube, and I'm supposed to be seeing it on the Facebook as well. But at the moment, I don't see it. So I'm curious if y'all can see or hear me. Hey, cool. Joey and Dave. Awesome. Okay, so at least the YouTube folks are on. I'm not seeing anything on the Facebook. So I'm not really sure about that. Hey, Mark, Kevin, don't have it. Yeah, the thing is I'm trying to stream to two places at once because there's people on both platforms, and so anyway, I've been trying to figure out how to do two things at once, and I thought that was going to work, but it doesn't seem to be working. So I guess today. Yeah. Hey, all right. Michael, Larry, Ben, Mark, Alan. Super cool. All right. Well, hey, y'all are here. So let's do the thing. Let's do a thing. I wanted to, I don't know if y'all get my emails, but I wanted to kind of elaborate on the email that I sent out today. And I do send out emails pretty much every day. So if you don't get them, you can go to bluesguitarunleashed.com, of course, and scroll down to the bottom of the page, and it'll say, if you want the 4-note solo, you probably already seen the 4-note solo, but sign up anyway, and it'll put you on the list. Or there's one, bluesguitarunleashed.com/get on the list with dashes, get-on-the-list, because I do a lot of stuff via email. But I talked today about the A minor blues boxes, right? And I had a PDF on the blog, with how to play them all, right? We have box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, and box 5. And of course, they all connect together because they're all the same 5 notes. Okay, so these blues boxes are sort of that thing that most blues players use for playing solos, right? And they're great. And now, of course, there's other options. Of course, I talk about the 4-note solo pattern. And the 4-note solo pattern is great, but if you extend it, it becomes box 2. Right? So while it's a great pattern, again, it falls within these 5 boxes. Now, one thing I always feel like I have to clarify is that boxes are strictly a guitarist thing. All 5 of those boxes are the same group of notes. Okay, we're just playing A, C, D. The blue note is a D sharp or an E flat, E, and G. A, C, D, E, G is the pentatonic scale, with the blue note being that E flat. Okay, and no matter where I play, no matter which box or no matter what pattern or whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter. It's going to be that scale. It's going to be those notes. But on a guitar, because the way the guitar is laid out, we have to kind of play in different shapes. And it's just because we're like, it's like 3D, or 2D, I guess, on a piano. It's just left and right. So if you play A, C, D, E, and G, you're going to cross your hand over and you're going to play A, C, D, E, and G again. It's going to be exactly the same. And you're just going to repeat the same thing, octave after octave. Well, on a guitar, we don't have that, because once we run out of space and we have to shift positions, all of the notes kind of change around and they reconfigure. So that's why we have these boxes. Now, they're great. And box 1 is pretty much the one that everybody learns first, and it's the one you should learn first. And it's, whatever your root is. So first finger, fourth finger, first, second, third finger. Keeping in mind that the middle finger on this one is what we call the blue note. You don't want to hang out here. It's a passing tone. First and third finger on the fourth string. First, third, and fourth fingers. Again, with that fourth finger being, that's the blue note. So don't hang out there, but use it as a passing tone. First finger, fourth finger, first finger, fourth finger. Okay? And a few of y'all are asking where you can get this. I made a little short URL. If you go to gobgu.com, gobgu.com/AMIN for minor, blues, BLUES, boxes. And I don't have any way to put that on screen. Theoretically, I suppose I could, if I knew how, I would put it in the chat, but I don't know. I'm learning. This is all new to me, so I'm making it up as I go along. But it's gobgu.com/AMIN, MIN, blues boxes. If you go to that URL, it'll take you right to the blog post that I have that has these. Or you can just go to Google and type Griff Hamlin A minor blues boxes or Blues Guitar Unleashed A minor blues boxes. It'll probably pop up as the first or second item. Usually I've found that when I can't remember where stuff is, I've been putting this stuff out for like 10 or 12 years now. So I've found that when I can't remember where to find stuff, Google will help me. It's really handy. So that, like I said, that's box one. What ends up happening, there's kind of a funny thing that happens with a lot of players is they learn box one and they work with it for a while, and then they get bored and they decide, okay, that they need, more sounds. So then they learn box two, and of course, then they get bored with that and they learn box three, and they sort of add these things on. And I believe that's the way it should go. You sort of need to work with each pattern for a long time, not even a long time, but a while, until you really get comfortable with it. So one thing that I advocate, and I'm really big on in my Blues Guitar Unleashed course, is that you learn the first box and then you play some licks and a solo with it before you go on to learn the second box. And then once you learn the second box, you go on and play some licks and play a solo and use it for a while. And then once you get the third box, again, we sort of add in piecemeal like that. And I found that that's a lot less overwhelming. A lot of people want to go out and learn all 5 boxes right off the bat. And that sort of creates this analysis by paralysis by analysis, where you have all these notes in front of you and it's really easy to get lost. So I don't encourage you to do that. If you know box 1, great. If you know, if you want to add on, like say box 4, that's cool too. Which kind of brings me to what I wanted to really get on today, is that I have a little tool that I made, and I call it my blues scale trainer tool. And if you forget what I'm about to tell you, it's gobgu.com/ I forget what I called it. Doesn't matter. So go to Google and type Blues Guitar Unleashed Blues Scale Trainer, and it'll pop up. It's bluesguitarunleashed.com/ blues-scale-guitar-trainer. And it looks like this. Okay. And this is a great way to learn your blues boxes and your pentatonic boxes, but from a very different perspective, but a perspective that's probably more useful to you. Okay. So as some of you may already know, and I'm not going to get crazy on this right now because this is a huge rabbit hole, but the same 5 boxes can also be looked at or viewed as the major blues sound or the major pentatonic scale. We have a minor pentatonic and we have a major pentatonic. And that's a topic for another day. I don't want to keep us here all afternoon. Some other time we'll get into that. But what's helpful is to be able to navigate through the box patterns, but not always starting on the 6th string. Most people, like if they learn box 3, right? They do like this. Well, this sort of doesn't help. And what'll happen is I'll have my students will come to me and I'll say, okay, play me an A minor pentatonic scale, but instead of starting at the 5th fret of the 6th string, which is kind of what we always do, start at the 2nd string. And they sort of go, what do you mean? I said, find it, find an A on the 2nd string, because that's what happens in the real world. Okay, you're out playing, you're jamming, and you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden you find yourself here, and you're like, oh, now what? I don't see anything here. Okay, you find yourself on an A, or you find yourself on a note that's on a string different from where you're used to starting and stopping. And so you sort of look at this, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know where I am. Okay, and that's a real, what I call a real world musical problem that we can solve. Okay, and so this gets back to what I often call this problem solving approach to soloing, which is, okay, if I know I need to use a certain scale, and I know I want to play it in a certain place, how do I do that? Okay, and that's where you might be getting lost. And of course, if you know all your boxes really well, and this is really easy to you, awesome, wonderful. But if this is new to you, then I have something that will kind of help. It looks like there's a few questions. Holy moly. Oh my goodness. Dave, you mentioned the extended version. The extended version is, it's box 1 plus the top 2 strings of box 2, top 3 strings of box 2, plus some notes down here from box 5. So that's another way to look at that. Some people call that the extended pentatonic scale. It's not actually a different scale. It just adds on a little bit of extra stuff. It happens to be very, very useful, though. There's a lot of different ways. There's that old saying, he who dies with the most toys wins. It's kind of a funny bumper sticker, funny T-shirt. And I always say, he who can look at the same 5 notes in the most different ways wins. Because the reality is that we're always just playing the same 5 notes. We all play these pentatonic scales all the time. But if you've got 13 different ways to look at them, you never get lost. And you have all these cool ways that you can see them and ways that you can arrange them. That's when you have a high level of comfort on the fretboard. So you might think of it as, I'm about to give you a new way maybe to look at these notes, a new way to compartmentalize, because that's what these boxes are. They're just a different way to compartmentalize stuff. And so you might call this the extended pentatonic scale, and that's fine. It's a different way to compartmentalize the pentatonic scale. It's a different fingering. The other day I did one, I call it the 3+2 pattern. Same thing. It's also the A minor pentatonic scale. It's not like I came up with some new scale. It's just a different way to look at those same 5 notes. So that's what we try to build, the more we can. Now, obviously, if you're brand new to soloing, you don't want to do this. You want to stick with one way. You want to get one way. I recommend, like, the 4-note solo pattern is great. Okay, if you want to add to that, you can add that note below it on the 3rd string. So if I have my 10 and 8 on the top 2 strings, you can add the 9th fret on the 3rd string, and it creates what I call a house pattern. And you'd be amazed. I mean, like, you'd be amazed how much music is in that one little pattern. Okay, but when you add on some bending and stuff. So if you're new to soloing, obviously that's what you want to do. But let me get into this guy right here, which is this scale trainer. And again, you can find this, just Google it, Blues Guitar Unleashed, Blues Scale Trainer. I'm sure it'll come up. I don't honestly, I made a little shortened URL, but I don't have any way to put it on the screen. This is very new. Today's the first day I've really ever tried to do this. So I thank you all for bearing with me. But this is a really cool tool that, as far as I can tell, is extremely underutilized. So I hope that you will do it. It's free. It's for everybody. You don't have to enter a password. You don't have to enter an email. I just, one of my subscribers, one of my email subscribers, I sort of talked about this idea of using flashcards one day, and he was a programmer, and he said, here, I wrote that in a program. It works really, really good. And I was like, it's perfect. It's wonderful. And so I just had it made pretty, really. And that's it. You can have it. It's free. So here we go. So let me show you kind of how I would suggest you use this. So the first thing that it's going to ask you for, and there's some instructions down here. If you want to watch me talk more about it, you can. But for some reason, when I use that, a lot of people still seem to seem to get lost. And by the way, Lewis, I didn't send out an email about this. This was totally off the cuff. I just wanted to try this today, and I didn't let anybody know that I was going to do this. So don't feel bad that you didn't get an email about it. This is I'm just having fun, trying something new today. Okay, so the first thing you choose is a root note. Now you can leave it as random, okay, and it'll pick a root note for you. But let's say that you're fairly new. I suggest starting with something easy like A, okay? So the root note is always going to come up as A. Now, the string means which string do you want it to find this root note on? It can be either just the first string or just the second or just the third, or you can make it random, okay? So in answer to my little, I'll say musical problem earlier, my musical problem was if I'm at the second string on my root, which is an A at the 10th fret, what scale am I going to use to go with that? Which box pattern is going to go with that? I can't see it, right? If I'm looking at that and I don't see it, how do I find that? Okay. So I'm going to say that my string is the second string. Now, left, right is a little bit more complicated, and I'll show you why. Now, I'm a right-handed guitar player, so left facing is towards the headstock, right facing is towards the guitar body. But let's say that I have an A, okay? There is one way to play the pentatonic scale where the notes are mostly going to be towards the left of the root. There's another way to play that scale where the majority of the notes are going to be to the right. Okay. Now, by default, what I should say is that most of our, well, no, not really. Our patterns don't necessarily work that way. It just sort of depends. So you have your choice. Most people have an easier time seeing, I'll say, a right-facing pattern, meaning the first finger is on the root. We tend to naturally put our first finger on the root. If you put your third or fourth finger on the root, it's going to be a left-facing pattern. I hope that makes it that makes sense. And to those of you asking about the link for this page, again, just go to Google and type Blues Guitar Unleashed Blues Scale Trainer. It'll pop up. I made a little shortened URL for it, but I can't remember what it is. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Yeah. Okay. So the shortened URL is gobgu.com, gobgu.com /blues scale tool, all one word, blues scale tool. And again, if I knew how, I would put it in the comments, but I don't, because I'm actually watching as just a random person. Got it. Okay, cool. Sorry. Again, winging it. That's what we do. Okay, but it's way more fun this way. I much prefer teaching when people are talking back to me. It's fun that way. Okay, so far we have, what do we have? We have a root note. Hang on, we're going to be over here. So we've chosen A. We've said we're on the sixth string. I'm going to say I want the right facing pattern, and let's only deal with minor for the moment. Okay, so now if I hit deal me up a scale, okay, right now it's just that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the root note A on the second string, right facing minor. Now, if you know what that is, this is where you get to be smarty pants and try to figure it out. So we know that we're looking for an A starting on the second string, going to the right, and it's minor. So it's an A minor pentatonic pattern starting on the second string, going to the right. So there's an A going to the right, meaning towards the body of the guitar. Now, of course, I know what that is. But you might not. So if you don't, and if you can't comfortably figure it out, you can get yourself a hint. And it'll show you that how to play that particular scale. So there you go. And the red notes are the minor roots, and the blue notes are what we call the blue notes, right? Because you remember I said, you know, there's the pentatonic scale and there's the blue, and the blue scale is just the same as the pentatonic scale with that blue note. Okay, but the blue note isn't one you are going to want to hang out on. You want to kind of use it as a passing tone most of the time. So that's why I color coded it in that way. So now you can say, there, I have a new, so now you have a new pattern to go play with, right? So now you can, you know, put on a jam track in A, you can, you know, you can play around with it, you know, play some notes out of it, get it comfortable for you. And then you might think, well, let's see, what if I want to face the other direction? So I can change the left, right to left, hit deal. If you know what that is, great. If you don't, make the hint. And now I see that it's that pattern. Okay. So what's cool about this tool is that you can limit it very, very much. If you just want it to show you how to play a specific pattern based on a given root note, you can do that. Okay. You can absolutely get rid of all of the randomness as I have done here. There's no randomness. On the other hand, if you want to test your skills, you can really get crazy with this. If I make them all random, then I say deal. Okay, now I'm looking for a G sharp or A flat with a second string root going left and minor. All right. Now, again, I know what that is. There's an A flat, second string root. And that's what it would be. And if I want to check my work, then I'll hit the hint and see if I was right. And yeah, I know, big shock. I had it. Right. But still, I can deal another one, right? And get, okay, now I've got F sharp. Let's see, F sharp on the sixth string, left facing minor. Okay, well, again. And again, that's one that I can find, but it might not be, that might not be second nature to you yet. This is a very, very good way to get it to be second nature. Okay. So I hope that makes a bit of sense. Watch space before .com. Yeah, you can't have a space before the .com. Go bgu.com/blues scale tool all together. It has to all run together. And that's what I wanted to share with you today on this little test of my live streaming thing. I'm seeing if I thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. From Houston. All right. And the UK. No way. That's awesome. Cool. So here's what I'll do. Because once I shut this down, I suspect that this video, I'm assuming it will still be on YouTube. I'm assuming you can go back and watch it, that's being recorded. So what I will do is I will pin a comment to the top. I think I can do that, and pin a comment to the top with the URLs for the A minor blues boxes if you want to just download that PDF just so you can have them. or it'll actually be to my blog, but you can download them there. And I'll put a link in there to that blues scale trainer. And again, like I said, there's a video also on that page, but I'm kind of hoping that this might, give you a little something, little inspiration today, a little something to go play around with. And it's a great little tool. I use it all the time with my private students. They get a lot out of it. I definitely see improvement. So I'm hoping to try to convince more people in the online world to go use it, because it really is useful. All righty. My pleasure, Joey. Lewis, excellent. Virginia, Switzerland. No kidding, man. That's great. That is so great. All right. Well, hey, listen, everybody. I'm gonna bow out. I have to go. Actually, I have to go pick up my son from school here. It's raining really bad today, so I'm gonna sign off right now. But thank you for joining me, and I'm gonna try and do this a bit more often. I'm trying to get a little bit more going on here, so I can jump in with comments and add stuff to the feed. I've got a lot to learn, but I appreciate your patience as I get things figured out. And all right, I think, amp settings. I use a DigiDesign, or Avid, I guess now, 11 rack. It's a Super Reverb emulation. It's a Fender Super Reverb emulation, basically. I leave the volume about halfway up. Bass is at about 11 o'clock. Mids in the middle. Trebles about 1 o'clock. And it is a Boss Blues Driver pedal with a Keeley modded one. And the level is at Unity. Gain is at about 11 o'clock. That's all that you're hearing. That, a little reverb built in. And 59 virtual old stock VOS Les Paul. One of my personal favorites. Got this actually in Memphis from the Gibson factory when I was there back in 2016. So, all righty. Hey. Yeah, that's true. At least I don't have to know. I'll take it. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody. It was great to see you. And again, I'm hoping that YouTube is going to record this, and that would be really cool. And then I can, add those URLs for you. I will absolutely do my best. And it was great to see you. I hope to see you again soon. Take care.